Have you ever tried pasta on pizza? Perfectly baked pizza crust, topped with creamy, rich macaroni and cheese, every bite loaded with comfort and flavor. In today's video, I'll show you every detail, from making the perfect pizza dough to cooking a smooth, cheesy sauce and finally turning classic mac and cheese into the ultimate pizza experience. Let's get started. First, we need to make the pizza dough. We're making it from scratch, so let's start by measuring the flour. Whenever I make bread or pizza at home, bread flour is always my first choice, with around 11 to 13% protein. That higher protein level is the key. It gives better gluten development, better stretch, and honestly, better pizza every single time. For today's recipe, I'm using 500 grams of flour, which is about 17.65 ounces. Once the flour is weighed, just keep it aside for a moment. Now let's measure the water. Today I'm using normal tap water. Nothing fancy here. For this dough, I'm using 350 grams of water. That's about 12.35 ounces. Once the water is weighed, let's add the yeast. I'm using instant dry yeast today. It's easy, and there's no need to activate it first. For this recipe, I'm using 2 grams of yeast. If you're using active dry yeast, though, make sure you activate it in warm water before adding anything else. Now, add the salt. Pizza dough needs a little more salt compared to a regular bread loaf. So here, I'm adding 8 grams of salt. Now let's add extra virgin olive oil. Olive oil makes the dough feel smoother, adds better flavor, and gives you a nicer texture after baking. Once everything is in, give it a good mix until it's all combined. Our flour and water mixture is ready, so let's knead the dough. Today, I'm using a dough kneading machine. Machine-kneaded dough usually turns out more elastic and more consistent. But if you don't have a machine, no worries at all. You can knead by hand. Just expect around 15 to 20 minutes. Add everything into the mixer. Start on low speed. Number 1, just until everything comes together. Then increase to speed 2 and knead for about 3 to 4 minutes. Now stop and check the dough. You can see here the dough is soft and sticky, and that's exactly what we want. Pizza dough is a high hydration dough, so a sticky texture is perfect. So we continue kneading. Knead for another 5 to 7 minutes, then check again. If your dough feels too runny like batter or too hard and dry, just adjust with a little flour or water. But this one looks spot on, no adjustment needed. At this stage, the gluten starts developing, the dough stretches, but it's not quite ready yet. It's still a little rough, so let's knead for another 10 minutes. One important summer tip. If you feel the dough getting too warm while kneading, stop. Let it rest for a moment or pop it into the fridge for a short time. Now look at this. The dough is smooth, silky, and nicely stretchy. That's exactly what we're looking for. Next, divide the dough into equal portions. I'm using a kitchen scale to keep everything even. Once divided, shape each portion into a smooth, crack-free ball. Today, I'm portioning the dough into 280-gram balls. Place them into a container, cover with a lid, and let them rest in the fridge for at least 2 hours. If you have more time, even better. Overnight or even up to 2 days works beautifully. After 2 hours, take the dough out of the fridge and leave it at room temperature for about 1 hour. Cold dough is hard to stretch. Resting it makes it soft and relaxed. While the dough is resting, let's move on to the next step. We'll cook the pasta and make that creamy, cheesy sauce. That's where the real magic begins. Bring a pot of water to a rolling boil, add enough salt. The water should taste like the seawater. That's how pasta gets flavor from the inside. Now add the pasta. Cook it according to the packet instructions. Timing depends on the size and shape of the pasta. Usually it takes 8 to 10 minutes and sometimes even less if the pasta is small. Give it a stir now and then so nothing sticks to the bottom. Once the pasta is cooked, drain it really well. We don't want any extra water here. Wet pasta can ruin a creamy sauce. Now let's move on to the cheese sauce. Today I'm using 2 types of cheese, cheddar for flavor and mozzarella for that nice stretch. You can absolutely use your own favorite cheeses. Make it your way. For seasoning, I'm keeping it simple. Garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, dry mustard, and just a little black pepper. Now let's start the sauce. Place a pan on low heat and melt the butter gently. Once the butter melts, add the flour and cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes. No color here, no browning. We just want to cook out that raw flour taste. Now add the seasonings and let them warm up for a few seconds. This really brings out the flavor. Now slowly add the cream and milk. Go slowly. And keep whisking, keep stirring, and add salt to taste. You'll see the sauce start to thicken. That's exactly what we want. Now lower the heat, or even turn it off completely. Add the cheese little by little, mix gently. The sauce should be smooth, rich, and beautifully cheesy. Once the sauce is ready, add it straight into the macaroni. Mix gently, making sure every single piece is fully coated. Now you already have a perfect classic mac and cheese. If you want baked mac and cheese, pour the mixture into a baking dish. Add an extra layer of cheese on top. Bake at 180 degrees Celsius for about 25 to 30 minutes until golden and bubbly. Now, let's stretch the dough. Our dough is ready now because we let it rest at room temperature. Before we start, make sure your oven is preheated to 230 degrees Celsius. A hot oven is very important for good pizza. Place the dough onto a floured surface. Start from the outside. Use your fingers and gently press from the center outward. Take your time here. As you press, leave the edges a little thicker. That's how you get a nice crust. If you use a rolling pin, you'll knock out all the air bubbles, and we don't want that. Now slowly rotate the dough and stretch gently. Go slow. Spread your fingers slightly, slowly rotate the dough, and gently stretch from the center. This opens the dough evenly without touching the outer crust too much. If the dough starts to spring back, that's a sign it's not ready yet. Once you're happy with the size, transfer the dough onto a baking tray. Now for the toppings. Add a layer of cheese. Then add the mac and cheese. Be generous, but don't overload it. Too much topping can make the base heavy and stop it from cooking properly. Just enough to cover it evenly. If you want, you can finish with a little extra mozzarella on top, but I'm adding Parmesan and herbs mixture instead. It adds a really nice flavor and balances the richness of the cheese. Now we're ready to bake. Bake at 230 degrees Celsius for about 18 to 20 minutes. Keep an eye on it. We want the base cooked through and the top bubbling beautifully. Look at this, and perfectly baked. And the macaroni looks incredible, creamy, cheesy, comfort food at its best. This pizza is rich, but still balanced, and every bite just works. So, how was the recipe? Did you like it? If you did, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves making pizza at home. And don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recipes like this. Until then, enjoy every single bite of this pizza.